Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sour and SaaS. I am very excited to be joined today by the CMO of Aprimo, Ed Breault. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Thanks for having me, Garrett.
Yeah, man. No, I'm glad to have you here. This is going to be exciting. Now, as I was prepping, I was looking at your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And they always talk about not burning bridges in your career. You were at Aprimo, you left, you came back. That's actually a really cool story. So you maybe start with kind of like how you did that? Because I feel like a lot of people, I bet, are super like nervous or uncomfortable to go back to a previous employer that they loved because they like left. And like, tell me that story. What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, so it deserves explanation because it wasn't actually a bridge that was burned. It was more like a bridge that was built because Aprimo actually originated in 1998 as a startup, rapid growth. And then it was acquired. So it went into Teradata Corporation in 2011. So in there for 5 years, they killed the brand and everything about Aprimo, and it adopted a new branding. And then in 2016, we carved that asset out into private equity and became Aprimo again. So it was a reborn brand and built a new bridge from, legacy technology to modern SaaS, latest, greatest. So we weren't born in the cloud. We were reborn SaaS in the cloud.
So you've been with them since 2006 then, to a certain extent.
Right.
What's it like doing something that no one's ever done in marketing before? Like stay with someone for more than a year?
Yeah.
It's like how?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But you kind of get this opportunity to like reinvent yourself. And as you go do that, the market changes and technology changes and, humans like to move sort of relatively linear in terms of change. Technology is exponential change. So I love the idea of owning a space of a category of in the market and continuously disrupt that category and rebuild it, make it new again, make it fresh, evolve it. And, in doing so, it's definitely been a journey that felt like, 5 different iterations of a company. So while it's a reborn brand, it's definitely evolved so much, and it's kept my my growth.
Yeah, no kidding. And so the category is digital asset management, correct?
Digital asset management and marketing work management. So what we did was we took 2 categories that we're the market leader. If you look at Forrester, Gartner, for digital asset management, for customer experience, and marketing work management, we realized we had to bring those worlds of work and content together, digital and content together, and then we create this new space called content operations, which is what some of the largest and some of the best enterprise, lower and even mid-market brands use to generate revenue from digital and content experiences.
I like that. So when we say driving revenue from digital and content, anecdotally, I went all in on Visible in, I think, 2018. And they had this big promise to me when I, threw their script into the footer that I was going to be able to start to really understand the impact of my content, tie that into my Salesforce data with opportunities, deals, and revenue. And that was going to drive my content strategy. Holy crap, that is not remotely what I got. I wasn't able to do that. Are you all able to do that? Like, is anyone able to do that where I can be like, hey, I wrote this blog post and then these are the ops that it drove?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what a digital asset management, think of it as a hub for content. And there's all of these digital experience endpoints for content. Content's going to go to your website. It's going to connect into your web CMS. It's going to go in your stores. It's going to go hit your social channels. So email, everything, every possible digital channel is hooked up to the hub. And then this hub then is connected into your ERP systems and your work management systems and all of the different systems of record, systems of differentiation, innovation within the org. And then a work management capability to help get those strategies, go-to-market plans into market, push it, and then you have the connectivity back into now connecting strategies with outcomes, and you've got marketing return on effort is what we like to call it.
Yeah, I love the return on effort. I think we can unpack that in a little bit. But I have like maybe a pointed question for you because I'm very curious about this. Sure. You and I feel like service at large average order value type accounts. Like you're not a freemium provider for, any type of company that wants to do content. You're very much mid-market and even more so enterprise.
Correct.
For the real use case of your product to exist. I'm very similar. I used to do a ton of content. And then as we became more codependent on like being able to only close larger accounts, the fact that I couldn't control my firmographics, in other words, like I used to spend a lot on Google Ads, third-party review sites, and organic. We then went upstream and I started to spend a lot more on LinkedIn and using like Clearbit X on Facebook because I could target companies with over 100 employees who use Marketo, let's say, and I can make sure that they were digitally mature for my business. So I stopped investing in content. So for you at Aprimo, how do you think about content marketing when it comes for driving higher average order value accounts? Because I've been getting my butt kicked and I'd love to just hear some different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Now me as a marketer, I'm trying to connect with these great, companies, and you think about how you get to them. There's definitely sort of SMB mid-market plays within marketing, and then there's enterprise plays. So to get from we'll call it mid-market and up, there's obviously inbound, there's outbound, and then there's partner or channel, right? Yeah. So one of the things that we do is we work all three of those very hard. So from a channel standpoint, there's a whole ecosystem of related service providers, vendors, technologies, like take Salesforce as an example, take Optimizely or was that be Server now, new company Optimizely. We partner with those technologies. So we market through those channels. And then from an inbound standpoint, we want to create this magnetic demand out in the market. And what we do is we get in the heads of and really understand our personas, our marketing leaders, our IT leaders, our CMOs, chief digital officers out there, chief compliance officers for our regulated industries. And what we want to do is we want to be there for them at their moment of need. The moment of need exists when they're not thinking about Aprimo. They're not thinking they need a digital asset management or work management system. They're thinking they've got challenges because, compelling event, a bank gets fined, fails audit. They're out there looking, right? There's a need out there. They start to search.
Chase, I don't want this to happen to me as Bank of America. How do I avoid it?
Exactly. Fines for, improper marketing or, making your references, your claims, your information's not properly substantiated. And with even life sciences companies. So we want to be there for them at their moment of need. And we use content as a method to build trust and authority with them. And so if we put that out there, we promote it, we syndicate it. And then back to what channels we use. Yeah, these platforms now are hyper targeted. Like we use some predictive demand analytics that has an ad serving platform on top of it. So we can find exactly the intent that's out there, serve up in whatever the channel is that they're on, that digital property, that it finds the remnant that they're on, and it gives them that helpful guide they're looking for. Yeah. How to navigate content challenges within financial services or life sciences, as an example. That's from an outbound standpoint. Or an inbound standpoint. From an outbound standpoint, there we do massive amounts of, you have your total addressable market. Then you have your sales addressable market, or your SAM is what we like to call it. So we're modeling out all of the accounts that we would potentially want to create a commercial engagement with. We've got our accounts, our sub accounts, our hierarchies, our contacts. We research. Then the teams, our BDR team does massive amounts of research on these accounts. And it's personalization to the account plus the person, like the individual level. And then we perform outreach and, we give folks permission to build relationships, be valuable. And it gets down to knowing who your audience is, that ideal customer profile who would buy from you, and then creating demand in a very intentional, very specific fashion.
I love that answer, Ed, and I'm going to unpack it in a second, but this is sour and SaaS.
Yeah. I forgot that was the whole. Yeah.
Are you ready?
All right. So you gave me like some options. Are we going the toxic?
I'm going straight to the toxic waste. You can go warhead. I'm just going all in on this toxic waste stuff.
Oh, all right. So let me open this up. So my daughters, my family, we love wasabi or sushi. We do the wasabi challenge. So I could take some wasabi. I don't even know what the heck is this toxic waste. All right.
Well, I mean, I don't think wasabi's that natural either, right? So this is going to be right up your alley because, like, I think they have to manufacture a lot of the wasabi these days, right? Like, we're not getting fresh wasabi usually.
No.
Oh, okay. The first one's not as bad as the second. That's the only nice thing I can say about this one. It's not that bad, see?
Muscles are starting to cramp a little bit.
Oh, yeah, there it goes. All right. So I love what you said there because you said inbound and then completely ignored organic, which is so brilliant because it's like doing SEO can mess with your head. Like my hard skill is SEO. And what I found in SEOs is that we have to break this ideology that a good piece of content, a good topic is one that has lots of volume and low difficulty. It's like how our brains are wired. We're like more organic traffic. But what you were saying is you use this moment of need, which I think we can almost transpose to moment of pain. So like when your ideal customer persona has pain and they need so much pain that they go from apathy to action and they search out a solution that might still be informational intent, not even commercial. Mm-hmm. We want them to discover us. So it sounds like number one for organic, you're not worried about keyword volume really, frankly, at all. You're worried about like discoverability outside of your category. I'm talking like discoverability around use cases for your product or pain solving moments. But you did something we haven't done that well, which is you said syndication and promotion. So what does like, maybe I'm biased, but I think Outbrain and Taboola or whatever the hell it's called is kind of like crap. So how do you think about syndication? Because maybe I'm completely wrong. Like you get in front of your persona and you syndicate it. And then are you able to get people from like reading it to wanting a demo? Like that's that hard part for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll answer that. But going back on absolutely organic. Organic is, I mean, that's really how we started this brand back, which is organic. It's probably the highest converting traffic we have with having built the brand. And yeah, we've got our pillar keywords. We've got our short tails on them. Then we've got our long tail variations. And then we're building into all of our content that and on the website and all the different, areas of the site that matter. But that's what
does that team look like before we go past that? Like, what does that team look like? Because I think everybody wants to do that, Ed, and then they like give it to one guy named Joe and he just drowns and it never goes anywhere. So like, what does that like process look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. It's we come up with what our key words are that we want to go after those pillars. Yeah. And it's a combination of my brand, my head of content, head of demand gen, and my digital team. And that's really the three that works together. And then what they do is they build a content strategy around what it is that we want to start to rank for. We build an owned digital property strategy around it. We built an earned media strategy.
And everybody's nodding right now with you, Ed. They're like, yeah. But then they're like, who writes it? You know what I'm saying? Like how, because we all have the strategy we want to do, I feel like. And then we just do like a quarter of it and it doesn't work. And we're like, content doesn't work, but we really didn't do it because we couldn't execute. How are you executing all that?
Yeah. I mean, I've got an awesome team of content writers and creative team designers. And work very tightly with my product marketing team as well. Making sure we're on message, on brand, but at the same time, we're connecting with an audience. And it just takes great resources in order to deliver.
So we have that content, we're delivering it. And then you talk promotion and syndication. So how are you syndicating it? Because it's like content that goes live, like the tree that falls in the woods and nobody hears it. Yeah. The piece of the content you publish, but nobody reads. Like, how are you getting over that part?
So we know our audiences. So for us, there's, Aprimo, our ideal customer profile is in life sciences, financial services, high tech, brand manufacturing, retail, CPG as some examples. And we know there's web properties out there that will syndicate content for you. So there's companies like the Financial Brand, there's companies like Fierce Pharma, there's companies like CMS Wire. We know some of these sites that make sense for us to publish and syndicate to, because they've got our audience. We do deep research and where our audience goes, and what we want to do is be there for when our audience is there. So we pick those where and how we syndicate very very meaningfully. But yeah, you have to know the properties out there where your audience is.
Are you doing that natively, or are you using a third-party tool? Like, what's allowing you to get that specific and that, I think, like, directly connected to your ICP?
Yeah, we do use we have some intent providers. I saw you had actually some of my really good CMO friends on your show previously.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I pretty much have all their technology in my stack. And but then just really researching any of the other providers out there, and every year coming up with a plan of which ones we're going to prioritize, and making sure that what we want is the commercial traffic, and then on top of that, it's setting either KPIs, leading indicators of what good looks like in that process as well, because it's a long game. I mean, you're playing a long game of audience building, getting in there, just having them become aware of you, net new lead acquisition, engagement, and that you conversion. It's a long time, and I'm fine with investing in one fiscal year to build an audience that might not convert in that same fiscal year. It might convert in the next fiscal year.
I like that you're fine with that. How do you make the chief revenue officer or the CEO fine with that? Like, because I agree. I think our clients agree natively, but then there's someone above them, that invisible hand, that constantly forces them to focus on short term, which ironically drives up their CAC, decreases their LTV CAC ratio, hurts their business, hurts their EBITDA. But there's this like invisible hand that takes long-term thinking and forces it down. How have you overcome that?
Yeah, but I think if you have leaders that also understand how marketing works, so they understand that the leading indicators of revenue, what those are. And if you put it in a measurement framework that says, yes, we're all about bookings. We're all about throughput to bookings. We're all about marketing originated bookings. But what's it take to get there? And you don't just walk up to somebody's front door and say, transact with me anymore these days. It takes time to brand build that. And, we closed a deal recently that we started engaging with them. We have our attribution is awesome. And I can do a whole digital fingerprint story of dollars we brought in this quarter back 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And if you got your attribution game on point, and you're working with other leaders who understand leading indicators, diagnostic metrics, KPIs of marketing, they'll say, yes, you need to be delivering on pipeline, delivering on revenue outcomes, but what are you doing for us 2 quarters out, 3 quarters out, next fiscal year? If you're growing a business for creating that commercial value, enterprise value for growth, you got to be thinking about the future too. So we're building revenue that's going to hit our pipeline in 3 years too, which is great.
I love that. Yeah, no, and that forward thinking is so, I think, what's made Aprimo and obviously yourself successful. Like I've seen too, it's also crazy when you see digital attribution of like the conversations you had an individual at one company who moves to another company, and then a year later at that new company works with you too. Now, content. For some godforsaken reason, people hear content and they think either long form guide or blog post. Like that's all their brain knows. I've become really obsessed with this idea of functional content that kind of drives product-led growth. So a great example is Workable. Workable is an applicant tracking system. They work with HR professional from 0 to 50 employees, let's say. And they know one of the biggest pain points for this person who wears all these hats for the company is interview questions, job descriptions. And they've taken these, right? And these are very scalable, right? No thought leadership, no expertise necessarily. And then, so they have 1,000+ job descriptions on their site, driving millions of dollars of traffic. And the job description, if you like it, you can post now, and it directly integrates to their product. So you've got like organic rankings, highly scalable product integration. I call this functional content. It's like the pinnacle of my mind of like SaaS content. When you look at Aprimo across your customer base, what is the most successful content you're seeing right now that companies need to be doing more of, that they might be missing? Like, what is that in your mind?
Yeah, some of the best brands are, it's customer centric, but then it's really experience centric brands. And so if they're thinking about the experience, they're thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to create an experience that's more than just content, more than just a transaction, but have them connect. And think about all of our senses, right? As human beings, if we can appeal to as much of that as possible in a way that creates emotional connections, like get them here. You've got the rational and the emotional side of our brains, right? And then if you can get to that emotional side, then that's so much more powerful. If you go back to like the book Switch with the elephant and the rider, right? If you can get that elephant if you can connect with their elephant, there's so much power there. So these experience first brands, like one of my customers who I just think is amazing, which is Dolby, go check out their website. It's like you're watching a movie, and it truly, because that's what they do. I mean, they're a cinematic brand, so they can't have some static digital experience. They've got to make it look like when you pop that website, you step into an experience and you move around, you feel it. It's experiential, it's dynamic, it's hitting on, the sights, the sounds. You almost feel like you're part of the digital experience. Those brands are doing a great job at it. And and then content, really, it's pretty much everything that we've got customers who, you've got your standard, your white papers, your one sheets, video, multimedia capabilities, 3D, virtual reality experiences, and then also non-file based assets. So these assets are, you might not even, it could be just text, right? Text that gets put everywhere. It could be on a disclaimer. It could be on a label. It could be on one of these, like that, like these text blocks here this is content here. It's all forms and fashion, and all that content needs managed, and you got to have the metadata, the taxonomy around it in order to serve it up fast, because some of these best brands, what they do is they marry that data with the content at the moment of need and create an experience that's, I call it beyond personalization. It's not just give me a segment, let's look what they purchased before, let's suggest these things, but literally in the moment, serving up an experience with like a modular, sometimes called atomic, which is funny because warheads are atomic content, which kind of comes together.
No, I love where your head's at there, though, Ed. And like, I know Brian and our marketing team, we just invested in a CDP segment so that we can start doing more of this at scale and trying to deliver the most valuable content in the exact moment of need, fully enriched, firmographically, to give them the most relevant information we can, whether that's in a chatbot, an email, a video, a retargeting campaign. Like, how do we create this actual, get people from apathy to action, stoke emotion, and then create an outcome from this? Now, I loved all that. You know what? We got to do this first.
Are you going toxic waste or are you going warheads?
Oh, I'm going straight toxic waste again. I don't know.
All right, I'll match you on blue, whatever blue is.
Okay, you going blue? All right. The second one, it's like painting, I say, right? So like the first one's your primer, the second one's the main coat. It just hits.
Oh man. All right, here we go. I can't even get out of the packages. All right, here we go. Down there.
I was through it. It is so much more sour the second time. It's not even fair. Right? Why is that?
This one's going out my tongue. I can't even.
I know. My nose. I'm going to get a runny nose. So the other part of your platform, marketing operations management, like so sorry.
Yeah, this is getting bad. I'm getting the back.
You're now the CMO of a new company. I'm so sorry, Aprimo. Ed's left you. You started this new company. It's a massive startup, huge valuation, classic 2021, but they have no marketing team. What are you going to do different from what you've done like historically in your career? Now that you know what you know, what do those first hires look like? Because I know, for example, if I were to rebuild my staff and my team, I would do it entirely different now with the information I have. And I would do things that seem counterintuitive to maybe less experienced marketers and leaders. So for you, what would you do different now, everything you know, to build out a marketing organization in a new company?
Yeah, it would be all about the market for me. Okay. It would be all about understanding the market, understanding the total addressable market. What is are we in a market that's big enough for our goals? Do we need to grow the market?
Yeah.
I would start all market research, market analysis, know that thing inside and out. And then, as a first toll gate in a relaunch, and then I would build a team, because then I know what kind of resources I need, where I need those resources, what kind of market knowledge I need to bring in. I mean, because anybody can come in, stand up a website. What's the brand? Do some brand, some brand research. Yeah. And then, bring in the systems and data and, turn the plumbing back on. But if you don't know your market, and you can't even set goals around what you're trying to achieve.
Where did that happen though, Ed? Why did we go so awry? Like, and I know it sounds so stupid, but why did we all of a sudden think we're God? Like, I feel like we as marketers somehow believe that our data, GA, HubSpot, Marketo, it was good enough that we didn't have to talk to our customers anymore. That we didn't have to like actually go live our customers' lives and really understand them. It's like we just skip that. I can't tell you like how many accounts I'm working with right now at Directive who like, I call this the 3-tab test. And I think it's a very simple thing, but you look at it, you say, if I was doing research and I searched digital asset management and I opened up 3 tabs, would I choose Aprimo? And that's the way I start all my relationships with our clients, because they want us to come in and run Google ads or do organic or run LinkedIn or do their creative. But I wouldn't even choose them yet. So we're not ready for acquisition. Like, we're not ready for that moment. Why do you think we just like copy is dead? User focus groups, dead. Market research, dead. Like, where did it go? How did we get here?
Yeah. I think it's, it could be something about the pressure to execute. If we feel like we're doing, then we're making progress. And if we feel like activity equals outcomes, but that's not true at all, right? Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
I feel like, okay, I'm a runner. I need to go run. But are you running track? Are you running, are you running in trails? Are you running in the woods?
Is it a marathon or a sprint? Because those are different trainings.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a different max V. Are you even ready to go do that run? Do you? Yeah. So I think you really have to give yourself, build a business plan that allows you to give yourselves permission to really understand what your market is that you want to go into and who's in there. Get into the heads of the personas. Really just do deep investigative work to come back with something. And then, not do it too early, right? Because then you say, hey, I'm going to get started. Sure, we want to have a bias for action and get stuff done and go. And one of the things that my team really embodies, which is manage fast. Manage fast. You got to move fast. But at the same time, you're going to learn as quickly as possible. So you do have to, at one point in time, say, we're just going to go now. Yeah, we're going to go down. We're going to move and prove out or disprove our hypotheses around things, and then just go with a learning mindset, like the growth, right? The growth mindset. Yeah. Iterate and know that we've got a plan in there to change. I think is most important. Plan to change. That is the only thing that's constant. Which will be change.
I love what you're saying, and I think I can tell one of the reasons you've been successful is you're able to focus, right? Even in our pre-interview, when I was just talking with you, you knew who your exact audience was. You knew why they needed you. You had criteria around if they were even a good target account. Like you call it, I think, the 4 Vs. That was brilliant. Just so you know, like that is brilliant. I talked to a lot of marketers and they're very successful, but they treat their audience like a wide open ocean instead of a tiny pond. And so a lot of their marketing fails. So for everyone listening, as we close up this interview, I believe that like the best leaders and people in the world are able to say no to good ideas so they can only pursue great ones. How are you doing that at Aprimo? Like, how did you get to that place? What did you learn? Is there an approach that you could give to everyone that's allowing you to stay so focused? Because you are very, very focused. Like, genuinely, I can tell your marketing is focused. You understand your audience. You're going after the right people. Like, what's your process for staying focused and not getting distracted by the shiny objects of digital?
Yeah. I would say that you really have to know your destination. You know, your mission, your visions, your values, they keep you grounded. And when you start to steer too far off from what those are, you got to bring it back. You know, you really have to know, I call it, you know, it's your why, you know, of course. You know, is this connected to your why? Is it part of your mission? If you think your job is just to hit your targets, as a SaaS business, if you think your job is just to satisfy the financial outcomes of the business, that's all. Yes, you have to do that. But if that's all you think, you can be so distracted with what the shiny objects or the quarterly outcomes versus long-term. But if you got your mission, your why, your vision, if you can't see it, you'll never get there. And your values, keeping yourself grounded in what you need to do, that then also unites the company, because none of us can achieve on our own. We need the entirety. You got to keep those three things in order. That's what keeps you focused going down the road. And then what you have to do as a leader now is make sure everybody, you have to remind them. You have to remind them on a weekly basis, daily basis, when they're challenged, when they go off when they go off the path. You have to sit them down. Let's talk about this. Use those frameworks of focus to get back on the mission.
I love that, Ed. This has been amazing. If anyone wants to follow along with you in your journey and just what you're doing, what's the best way for them to do that?
LinkedIn.
Okay, LinkedIn.
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. That's my number one social media place to connect. Continue the conversation.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ed, for being on the show. Hopefully your mouth is not completely obliterated by sour candy. And this has been awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Garrett.